Dream Sectional. Shop Boswell's, 2915 Easy Street in Wenatchee.
Thanks to Les Schwab Tires, I'm a confident backseat driver, but Mom's a little stressed about spending. Remember, deep breaths and watch your speed. Even though we're watching our wallets, Les Schwab is still watching out for our safety. So turn here.
Hurry in and save up to $200 on a set of 4 tires, plus get an extra $50 off with financing. Les Schwab Tires.
It's the NCW Life Community Calendar, a presentation of Clean Connection. Memorial Day services will begin on the 29th with proclamations and the laying of wreaths at 9 a.m. at the Wenatchee City Cemetery. The mayors of Wenatchee and East Wenatchee will release the traditional wreath into the Columbia River from the center of the pedestrian bridge at 10, and at 11 the laying of wreaths and ceremonies will occur at Evergreen Memorial Park in East Wenatchee.
We're back. Happy Tuesday, 23rd day of May, 2023. I'm Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Down the road we go. Another beautiful spring morning here in God's country. 52 degrees here in the big city. Hit 70 yesterday, right as predicted. A little windy, a couple of clouds came in and out. Today, a little bit warmer, a little less clouds, a little less wind, still breezy. And then we begin the warm up. And things are looking really good for Memorial Day weekend. If you have outdoor plans, the unofficial beginning of summer, and we're going to take a look at the long-term forecast from the Climate Prediction Center for June, July, and August. We'll show you those statistics when we get to the weather right around the corner, but no complaints at all. It's going to be just beautiful. Love it. No chance of any pop-up thunderstorms. It's going to be one of the nicer Memorial Day weekends from Mother Nature's perspective that we've had in quite some time. And the news and the sports. Seahawks are now doing their OTAs at the VMAC in Renton, and thank goodness for the Oakland Athletics. Not only the worst team in baseball, but historically could be one of the worst teams ever. Mariners got to play them last night, and they kicked their butt. Highlights of that coming up. And speaking of baseball, Stormin' Joel Norman, my guest in the back half of the program. We're only 10 days away from the first game of the 2023 campaign for the Local 9, the Wenatchee Apple Sox, and they're just 2 weeks away from their home opener. On Tuesday, June 6th, we'll be covering that game for you, but we'll have it for you live, but you want to go to the ballpark. Stormin' Joel Norman will talk Apple Sox baseball with me in the back half of the program. It's a nice morning, 52 degrees, and let's begin our festivities with our Wenatchee Heights camera. Looks something like that. Is it me, or is the Columbia River looking a little more blue today than it has been for the last 10 days or so, where it's had some pretty mucky conditions with all the sediment running off from the area streams and rivers? But it's still up there. I mean, it's you know, Confluence Park especially. Not too bad at Walla Walla Point Park, but Confluence Park, the dock and the swimming area at the state park out there in the old station area, it's covered in water. It's got to go somewhere, and the banks can handle so much H2O. Still running high. It will eventually begin dropping down because we're running out of snow to melt after all that warm weather that we had. A stunning view of Lake Wenatchee. Check this out. Look at that. Just beautiful. All that snow on the north face, the dirty face, is gone. It's melted away. Of course, in the upper elevations, there's still snow. About 7,000 feet now is where the snow is, and will continue to melt and feed into Lake Wenatchee, which will feed into the Wenatchee River. A little sliver of Kaler Glen there at the bottom of your screen. A gorgeous view. You can see the entire lake from that incredible camera. To Badger Mountain we go. Also not a bad view. We have that pointed a little bit more to the north, so we're taking in a little bit more of the old station area. Horse Lake Road, Sleepy Hollow, Sunny Slope, Omi Gardens, and all the way. Look at the way off in the distance. Still a little bit of snow in the peaks of the Cascades from our Badger Mountain camera. That's up there a ways. And finally, Billy Goat. That's looking good. Alta Lake, good morning to you. And the golf course, just a stunning view. And the Methow River, where it flows by Pateros, empties into Columbia River, has gone down a little bit. It's also slowed down in its intensity. but it's still cold. I mean, a lot of people are going to be attracted to the water. It's still very, very cold. In many locations, especially in the upper elevations, the water temperature is still in the lower 40s. That's pretty cold. Doesn't take you too long to get into that kind of water when your body goes, hey, get me out of here. It's too cold. Beautiful view from Billy Goat. Sunrise this morning was at 5:15. I'm loving these longer days. Sunset 8:40. That means when I go to bed at night, it's still daylight. 15 hours and 25 minutes of daylight coming our way. All right, from the Climate Prediction Center, these folks handle the long-term forecast. Here's your seasonal temperature outlook for this summer. And we have a better than 50-50 chance in June, July, and August. They issued this last Thursday. I was waiting for the right day to show it to you, and today seems like a good day since it's pretty quiet on the weather department. As you can see, in the Pacific Northwest, we have a better than 50-50 chance of having warmer than normal temperatures. If you want to really avoid the heat, avoid most of New Mexico and the eastern half of Arizona. It's going to be really hot this summer down there. And as far as precipitation, a better than 50-50 chance of having less than normal precipitation. It looks like the Kentucky area, Kentucky, Tennessee, southern, most of Ohio, most of Indiana and Illinois, they're going to have a wetter than normal summer. And look at down there in New Mexico and Arizona. It's going to be hot and dry down there. We're going to be hot and dry up here. Here's a stunning announcement. It could be a warmer and drier than normal summer. I am shocked to hear that there's gambling going on in this establishment. From the National Weather Service, sunshine today, just a little breezy. It was downright windy at times yesterday. Not nearly as windy. The low pressure ridges have been kind of shifting off to other locations. We're going to be under the influence of a big ridge of high pressure, which is just off the Pacific coast. And it's going to sit there, and so all of the systems that might be heading our way are going to bump into that big dome. They're going to head to the south or head to the north and avoid us altogether. And the warm-up will get really going on Wednesday. My air conditioner is off. I'll be turning it back on tomorrow with a high of about 80, and we'll be all but done with the wind by Wednesday night with just a couple of stray clouds coming in. Quite a bit of sunshine Thursday into the lower 80s, mid-80s Friday, mid-80s Saturday, right around 80, a little bit cooler on Sunday and Monday, but bountiful sunshine. That is about as good as a Memorial Day weekend forecast as you can hope for. Temperatures above normal, both for the afternoon highs and the overnight lows. I like it when I can say that. 6 minutes after the hour, 2-minute break, and then the news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel.
I had a seizure in the middle of the night, and they rushed me to the hospital and decided to induce labor to try to get the baby out. The outpouring of love and support I got from Confluence Health. My coworkers coming to the ICU to be with me. For me, it's the work family. It's just incredible to have support no matter what I'm going through in my personal life, my own health.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
9 minutes after the hour, a couple of clouds hanging around. They won't be hanging around much longer. We'll be in the lower 70s again today, a few degrees warmer than yesterday. We'll be kissing 80 by Wednesday, and we'll be hovering right around between 80 and 85 with the afternoon highs. But bountiful sunshine begins Wednesday and lasts right through Memorial Day. It's 9 minutes after the hour. Wenatchee officially has a three-way race for mayor. As you know by now, Mayor Frank Kuntz announcing he would not seek a fourth term. He announced that a couple of months ago. Wenatchee City Councilman Mike Poyer, he threw his hat into the proverbial ring and made it official a couple of weeks ago. And former council member and previous mayoral candidate Brian Campbell will also appear on the ballot. And a newcomer, a man by the name of James McLaughlin. So there will be a primary on the August 1st ballot. It is a top two primaries, so 3 of them will be on the ballot. 2 of them, the 2 highest vote getters, will advance to the general election come November. And across the river in East Wenatchee, Mayor Jerry Lee Crawford will go unchallenged in her bid for a second term. In fact, there's only one contested city council race in either city, and that's Charlie Atkinson will take off against Electrify Williams in the Wenatchee City Council's 5th district. The Wenatchee School Board's newest member not running for re-election after her term was shortened by a change in the school district's voting regulations. Catherine Thomas was elected to a 4-year term in 2021, but the school board decided to adopt districted voting, and that puts every seat up for a new election this November. Thomas voted in favor of the change, but later objected to it, and last week did not file to run for her seat in District 2. She's one of 2 incumbents that are not going to run again. 3 others, Martin Barron, Maria Iniguez, and Julie Norton, are seeking to keep their positions in November. There are also 7 challengers filing to run for the school board. A Douglas County judge on Friday ordered a 70-year-old East Wenatchee man to spend a year in jail. It's a suspended sentence for child molestation. Robert Frederick Black pled guilty in April to sexually abusing a family member back in 2017 when she was 10 years old. Judge Brian Huber ordered Black to serve his term under the Special Sex Offender Sentencing Alternative that allows a defendant to serve part of their sentence in intensive therapeutic treatment. He'll spend his year of incarceration in the Chelan County Jail rather than in prison. The suspended sentence was 60 months. That means Black could be in prison for 5 years if he commits another crime or violates the terms of that sentence. And the City of Wenatchee's Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services Department has a lot to celebrate this week. They're going to be busy. This afternoon, Lincoln Park is set to reopen. There'll be a ribbon-cutting ceremony. It'll be held for the Okanagan Street Community Garden on Thursday. Lincoln Park's renovation includes a new stage, there'll be play equipment, a new picnic shelter, and more. The community garden is on the intersection of Yakima and Okanagan Streets, and they have 50 plots for community use. 43 of them have already been reserved. The reopening of Lincoln Park takes place today at 4 o'clock with the ribbon-cutting ceremony. The Okanagan Street Community Garden ribbon cutting will be held at 4:30 this Thursday, May 25th. That's a brief look at the news. It'll be another busy day in the bullpen, but that's why we have a bunch of folks who know what they're doing. And we'll have a newscast for you tonight at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock on television right here. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. If you prefer to watch your evening newscast at your convenience, you can watch it at your convenience. We'll have the news up and running on our Facebook page, on our homepage, and on our YouTube page right about 5 o'clock. And right down there at the bottom of your screen are any number of ways you can get a hold of us, and you are certainly encouraged to get a hold of us. If you have a news tip, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. When we come back, Mariners win, Seahawks win. Well, they didn't play, but they're working out anyway. Sports is 2 minutes away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel.
So, how's Evan?
Well, he's all grown up now, but I worry about him.
So many dangers in the world. COVID, the environment, the opioid epidemic.
Yeah, I hear opioid misuse is on the rise.
I don't even know how to start a conversation with him.
This might help. GetTheFactsRx.com. There's a whole section on how to talk about opioids with your family.
Offer support, not judgment. Cool.
Talk to your family about the dangers of opioids. Visit GetTheFactsRx.com.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether.
We provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
and you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
Hey there, folks. Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese splints, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
Hey, welcome back to Save Mart. What can we help you find today?
We're looking for a mattress.
Oh, right this way. We got a large selection. We have this pillow top here.
Comfortable.
We have more to choose from down here. I think I have the perfect one over here for you.
I guess we'll take this one.
You'll find it at Save Mart. Full service at a low, low price.
Quarter after the hour, the Mariners are back after their longest road trip of the season. The Bats woke up and we got to play Oakland. That's usually a pretty good combination. Jose Caballero and Jared Kelenic each home run. Luis Castillo recorded his 1,000th career strikeout in the victory.
Such a turnaround from what we saw the last couple of years.
He pelts this out to center field. How about another Jared Kelenic? No cheapie. That was a bomb.
Aaron right on cue. The little things that start to disrupt innings.
Caballero belts this out to left. Back-to-back games. Jose Caballero. 3-run bomb.
What about the big things too? All of a sudden showing that power. You saw the home run yesterday in Atlanta. Again today. It's been a battle for him trying to get through these lineups.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Luis Castillo knows it. Career strikeout number 1,000 for one of the game's great strikeout artists. Congratulations to Luis Castillo.
Yeah, he knew it right away. What a special moment for him.
Julio dancing around at second. This is right back up the middle. Julio being waved home. Jared Kelenic drives in another run. Julio strides across the plate. It's a 6-0 Mariners lead. 2 outs and 2 on. Julio scalds this into left field. Pollock can take his time and coast home. France motors to third. Julio, now that's a more conventional Julio double. He rings the bell to left, and it's 7-0 Mariners. Able to work a walk to get aboard. Suarez on the ground. Allen with a deep backhand. Plants throws on a skip, and it's not handled by Noda. France scores. The Mariners add their 8th run tonight. This is out to center field for a base hit. France is in. Here comes Julio. Eugenio Suarez added onto the party here tonight. It's a 10 spot for the Mariners.
And Gino Suarez, we saw it at the end of last year. Same thing, beginning of this year.
But ticks off the glove. And everybody, they're going to say he's out of the baseline. Haggerty is out. Kelenic does cross. And with that, the Mariners get their 11th run. Strike 3 called. The Mariners win, and what a way to start the homestand.
Jared Kelenic, after the game, talked to Jim Mueller of Root Sports Northwest, talked about his big game and the fact that the Mariner bats did their job last night.
We've been playing some good baseball. We're just trying to stay aggressive, get pitches in the heart of the strike zone, and that's what we did tonight, is just stay aggressive.
Cabby followed your homer with one in the second inning. What, if anything, makes it hard for you to believe he's a rookie?
I mean, just his attitude. He comes out, he plays the game the right way, and, you know, he's a bulldog. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. He just goes out and plays the game.
You mentioned that guys have been looking for their pitches and making adjustments. The fact that the middle of the order contributed so much tonight, is that enough to flip the switch and keep it going?
Yeah, I mean, definitely tonight was huge for us moving forward. Like I said, we've been playing some great baseball, some bad luck here and there, but, you know, when we get everybody going, you're going to see games like that no matter who we're playing.
Manager Scott Service said one of the changes, well, 2 things happened. All the team captains had a clubhouse meeting, and the whole team had a clubhouse meeting.
You know, the pregame meetings today and stuff, our position players were not happy. You know, they know that our pitching has been doing an outstanding job, giving us a chance to win every night, and we're not taking advantage of it. So talking to a few of the guys and then sitting in the meetings today, there was definitely a different vibe about it. We need to pick it up. We need to get going, and now's the time. So it was great to see tonight. Again, it's just a start. You got to go out tomorrow night and do it again, and the next night and do it again. And you're not always going to score 11 runs, but the intensity, the quality of the at-bat has to be there a night in and night out.
Mariners and Athletics go at it again tonight on Root Sports Northwest. Good seats still available. 6:40 first pitch. Another American League West action on Monday. Tucupita Mercado's grand slam home run highlighted a 5-run 7th inning for the Pirates. Pittsburgh beat Texas 6-4. That'll make Joel Norman happy. Jordan Alvarez hit 2 of Houston's 5 home runs in a 12-2 blowout of the Brewers. The Astros finished with 7 extra base hits in the game. Mickey Moniak's solo home run in the bottom of the 8th proved to be the game winner for the Angels. They knocked off Boston 2-1. So with Texas losing, the Mariners, the Astros, and the Angels all gain a game in the American League West. The Seahawks began OTAs. That's called organized team practice. We should do that here at the station. Have organized team practices. We should do that, except I don't much care for my coworkers. Anyway, one of the veterans happy to be back at practice, quarterback Geno Smith. Of course, he had his best year in his career. He got the starting job in Seattle, led the Seahawks to the playoffs, says he can't wait to make more improvements this year.
Going into my 11th season, obviously it's a blessing to even do that, but you know, who knows when, you know, the clock strikes midnight, right? So I cherish every single opportunity. I cherish every single practice, every single moment out here and in the classroom with my teammates. And so, you know, I think that's where my perspective has kind of changed a little bit, just, you know, going from being a young guy to being an older vet. And obviously I still feel young, but, you know, there's some things to think about. And so I'm very excited about the future. I think I can do this thing for, you know, God willing, a long time. So, you know, I just want to keep working and try and be better every day.
Also back in the Emerald City, linebacker Bobby Wagner. He spent a year in the wilderness with the Rams, but now he's back home.
I mean, obviously the main thing is the main thing, but you know, the feeling's always different. Like you come back, there's pretty much not too many people that you play with. You know, when I first got here, but you know, there's some familiar faces still, and I still understand the whole vibe and the whole culture here. So I'm excited to be back.
By the way, he will be wearing his familiar number 54. He wore 45 with the Rams last year. Geno Smith says good to have him back.
Man, it was awesome. I mean, just to see Bobby, you know, in our uniform again, not that ugly, 45, you know, it was just great to, you know, see him across the line of scrimmage again. You know, I'd gotten used to that, and then last year was different, but it's great to have him back. Such a tremendous leader, obviously a legendary Seahawk and someone that we hold dear, so we're happy to have him.
Wagner notices quite a bit of difference in Geno Smith, says he's got a lot of confidence, that guy does.
I think the biggest thing is just he got the experience and he got the reps. I think a lot of times when I was here, it was, you know, it was always was behind Russ, and so, you know, the majority of his reps came in the preseason or, you know, came, you know, after Russ kind of got his looks. But now, you know, you see what it looks like when he's getting the looks, when he's recording, when he's doing everything, and so you see the confidence grow, and you know, I'm excited to play here with him.
OTAs can continue all this week at the VMAC in Renton. Seattle's first preseason game is the second week of August against the Minnesota Vikings, and I, for one, can't wait. And those are just some of the games that people are playing at 22 minutes after the hour. Let's give the Turtle a shout out today for the obscure holiday. It's World Turtle Day today. Turtles go back 215 million years. They are probably the oldest known reptile. They go back longer than even crocodiles or snakes. There are about 320 known species of turtles out there, or tortoises, or terrapins, if you will, and about 70% of the 320 known species are endangered because of us. Of course, I have fun facts about turtles. The upper part of the turtle, the shell, the upper shell is called the carapace, the lower shell is called the plastron. Sea turtles have special glands that allow them to drink seawater. The glands filter out the salt. That's pretty interesting. Green turtles can hold their breath up to 5 hours. That's impressive. The leatherback sea turtle can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. They can weigh up to a ton. And the leatherback sea turtle travels about 10,000 miles a year. That's impressive. Not all turtles can hide their head in their shells. Not all of them can. Most of them can. Turtles mainly live in the water. Tortoises live mainly on land, and terrapins live half and half on the land and on the water. And almost all species of turtles are omnivores. They'll eat whatever's handy, kind of like us. World Turtle Day. Take care of our friend, the turtle. 24 minutes after the hour. Today in history, we always do states on their birthdays. This is South Carolina's birthday. That's not a bad state flag. That's one of the better ones. Most of the state flags, they just, of course, take the state seal and they stick it on a flag and make it good. They put a little thought into the South Carolina state flag, ratified the Constitution on the state 235 years ago today, May 23rd, 1788. That makes them the 8th state in the Union. It is known as the Palmetto State. Used to be known as the Iodine State. Thank goodness that didn't catch on. Of course, South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union leading up to the Civil War in December of 1860. They were readmitted in July of 1868. South Carolina did not have a home rule from 1895 to 1975. The counties had no government. All the county decisions were made at the state level. They had no home rule. Then they thought, that's stupid. Let's go ahead and make our local leaders make local decisions. But for a long period of time, all the decisions regarding local laws for the 48 counties were done by the state legislature. Not a very good idea. Also not a very good idea, South Carolina is the only state whose school bus system is operated statewide, and it sucks. They need to fix this right away. There's 5,582 buses and school buses in the state of South Carolina run by the state of South Carolina, not the local school districts. They're falling apart. The average school bus is 15 years old and has 236,000 miles on it. The national averages for a school bus are about 6 years old. Half the state's school buses are older than 15 years old. Some are 30 years old, and they're all falling apart, and they still can't get it fixed. Come on, South Carolina, you can do better than that. South Carolina is the only state, by the way, that grows tea. And since I'm a music guy, South Carolina's state song is Carolina. Okay. Happy birthday, South Carolina. Great golf courses, by the way. If you ever get a chance, go to Myrtle Beach and play golf. Bunch of great golf courses, very affordable, and very hospitable people, too. I've been a couple of golf junkets to the Myrtle Beach area. I highly recommend it. 89 years ago today, the end finally came for Bonnie and Clyde, the infamous bank robbers. People kind of forgot all about Bonnie and Clyde. Then in 1967, they made a movie called Bonnie and Clyde with Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty and Gene Hackman, and that brought Bonnie and Clyde's profile back up again. Why these people were folk heroes, I have no idea. They killed 12 people, 9 of them cops. And finally, on this day, a posse that had been chasing them for a long time caught up with them in Bineville Parish, Louisiana, and I mean, they blew them away. Shotguns, machine guns, pistols, rifles. They had so many bullet holes in them that when it came time for embalming the bodies, the coroner, the undertaker, could barely do it. They had more metal in their bodies than bones that were left. There was a bounty for Bonnie and Clyde, and as soon as the posse got the job done, the local authorities said, we're not going to pay you after all, so just take whatever you want for souvenirs. So they did. They took like fishing tackle and guns and picnic baskets, whatever they could find in the car, because the government said, we're not going to pay you. Bonnie and Clyde met their end 89 years ago today. 10 years ago today, I remember this. My producer got stuck in traffic. The famous I-5 bridge collapse. When a semi-truck hit the bridge, right by Mount Vernon in Washington State over the Skagit River. Nobody was killed, believe it or not, until a few days later because of the detours to get around. You had to go through Mount Vernon to get back on I-5. A Washington State patrol trooper was directing traffic when he was hit and killed. His name is Sean M. O'Connell, and the bridge that replaced it is now known as the Trooper Sean M. O'Connell Jr. Memorial Bridge. I remember that. It was 10 years ago today. 28 minutes after the hour. Happy birthday to Drew Carey. He now qualifies for Social Security. I don't think he needs it. He's 65 years old today. The Drew Carey Show was very funny. I enjoyed it, watched it quite a bit. Whose line is it anyway? Of course, he's been hosting The Price is Right for quite some time. He also is a minority owner in the Sounders FC. He's a big fan of soccer. Drew Carey, 65 years old today. Jewel, who doesn't do too much singing anymore. She's kind of morphed into acting and producing more than singing, but she's still talented. She is 49 years old today, and she shares an exact birthday with Ken Jennings, probably the most famous Jeopardy contestant of all. He won 74 straight games playing Jeopardy 19 years ago. He won almost, $3.5 million playing Jeopardy. Now he hosts it every once in a while. Ken Jennings, a Seattle native, still lives here, 49 years old today. It's the bottom of the hour. We got an opinion from Mike, Mad Dog Magnotti, because Mike has a lot of opinions. Then we're talking baseball. Stormin' Joel Norman, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Apple Sox. They're just 10 days away from their season opener down in Bend and 2 weeks away from their home opener, 2 weeks from today, against Springfield. We're talking Apple Sox with Joel when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
What's the best way to attract a wide variety of beautiful birds to your backyard? By offering the birds the right foods in expertly designed bird feeders from Wild Birds Unlimited. Whether you've been feeding the birds for a while or are just getting started, let our backyard bird feeding specialists show you how to add a little joy to your life and make nature a part of every day. Shop now for exclusive bird foods, feeders, hardware, and more. Wild Birds Unlimited. Products designed by experts. Trusted local advice.
Thanks to Les Schwab Tires, I'm a confident backseat driver, but Mom's a little stressed about spending. Remember, deep breaths and watch your speed. Even though we're watching our wallets, Les Schwab is still watching out for our safety. So turn here.
Hurry in and save up to $200 on a set of 4 tires, plus get an extra $50 off with financing. Les Schwab Tires.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? Open up a world of possibilities when you sell your home and make those dreams real. At ColdwellBanker.com, you can get an instant estimate on your home, compare cost of living city by city, and learn more about our revolutionary seller's assurance program. So it really is true. Your dreams don't have to be just dreams. At ColdwellBanker.com.
Mike, Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I've seen a lot of social media posts, and I've heard people say, Jesus is the same today and yesterday and forever, and basically saying that Christianity doesn't change due to societal or cultural changes. In other words, for example, what some of these folks are really saying is that Jesus has never liked gay people, and he doesn't like them now. Well, I agree that Jesus is the same and doesn't change, but what needs to change is any of these churchy attitudes that denies that God's grace and reconciliation are available to everyone regardless of who they are, even if some current evangelical folks don't like some of them. This is Mike, Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Pool & Spa, located on South Wenatchee Ave, has the largest selection of spas and swim spas in town. Stay cool this summer in an artesian swim spa and use it all year long. We enjoy helping families reconnect one spa at a time. Hot tubs are proven to improve sleep and decrease arthritis pain. Our passion is water, so please bring us a water sample, and we will help you diagnose your pool or spa water for free. Blue Lagoon Pool & Spa, your pool and spa experts.
Walkabout Grill, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner in downtown Wenatchee and now downtown Leavenworth, where eating out is eating healthy.
I'm holding a baseball on the front of my desk. I got bobbleheads from Marco Gonzalez and a couple from our good friend the Coyote, and that means one thing and one thing only. Time to talk about Apple Sox baseball for the 2023 season. This guy is no stranger to this program. Welcome him back from the frigid Midwest. I'm sorry, the name again? Oh, Joel Norman, Stormin' Joel Norman, broadcasting voice of the Apple Sox. Hello, my friend.
How we doing, Dan?
How was Nebraska?
It was good. It's nice to be getting out into the sunshine a little bit more, out of a few hockey arenas and getting set for baseball season. Best time of the year.
In a lot of ways, COVID sucked, but in one good way, we got to keep you because you were going to leave. You were gone, Johnson.
I was set to, yeah.
Yeah, you were set to leave, head off to the East Coast to do some minor league baseball, another level up from a professional standpoint. COVID came. You were hired by a team who never played baseball, and then you said, well, I got nothing better going on, and you came back here to the big city, and here you are.
It worked out, and I'm really grateful, of course, to the Apple Sox. This is a great team to work for. This is a great town to work in, and it's been fun, and it's kind of allowed me to open up working in hockey again as well. So, I think we all learned stuff from the pandemic. I think it kind of helped a lot of us improve for the better once we got through it as well.
And thank you for bringing Austin Andrade into the fold. He had big shoes to fill, literally and figuratively, with the passing of the great Art Checker. The guy calls a good hockey game. You kind of expedited getting Austin Andrade from Iowa to the Wenatchee Valley to take over the broadcast.
His work speaks for itself. Austin's done a phenomenal job. Years of the NA3HL, last year in the NAHL, and then jumping here to the BC. He's a phenomenal hockey broadcaster and a great human being too.
Speaking of broadcasting, quick note before we get going: we'll be broadcasting the home opener for the Apple Sox on June 6th. I believe it's a non-league game. They actually start out with league games.
Actually, it's a league one. We're playing Springfield for that one.
Oh, that's right, Springfield.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We'll be broadcasting that on June 6th, correct? That's
June
a Tuesday?
6th, 6:35.
That's a Tuesday. I'll be here on the NCW Life channel. Been busy for Mitch Darlington, the head coach of the Apple Sox. He wears like 9 hats. He's the athletic director up there at Waterville Mansfield for the school district there. Commutes out of Manson, comes down here. He's a really busy guy, and yet he is building a pretty damn good roster. We're going to highlight some people, but just from an overall standpoint, his recruiting has been top-notch.
He's done a phenomenal job. You always expect a coach from their first year to their second year to improve. Mitch has gone leaps and bounds, and granted, we haven't taken the field yet. And that's what he would say is, let's wait till we get at least the season under us. But, just right off the bat, 4 of the top 10 prospects in the state of Washington who are graduating this spring, these are in-state players. 4 of them are going to play for the Apple Sox. He's done a great job of getting that in-state talent and keeping it here. So we've benefited a lot, and Mitch would say it as well. We benefit a lot from a rule change with the West Coast League this year, where in previous years you can only have 2 incoming freshmen on your summer roster. This year they've moved that number from 2 to 6. We have some really talented kids coming right out of high school who are going to be playing for the Apple Sox here this summer.
And, of course, the Apple Sox made the playoffs for the first time in a number of years under the new leadership of Mitch Darlington. The team kind of just sort of, I don't want to say flounder, but they did not live up to expectations for a couple of seasons. Mitch was brought in. He's turned around both from a baseball standpoint and a talent standpoint. He's doing a hell of a job.
Technically going back to 2019, it's the second time the last 3 years making it. But you're right, though. There's been some changes. 2021 was rough for us, and 2022 was, you turned over a new leaf. And, boy, what a difference it was. An optimistic outlook from day one with Mitch. He just exuded his pride in being here in Wenatchee as well as in the Apple Sox as well. And it really showed showed last summer, and now, it's a good start, and he would say it as well. You're setting the bar higher for yourself, though, for year number 2. So we're hoping to avoid that sophomore slump that sometimes gets talked about.
It should also be pointed out that he has, if you watched any of the Apple Sox games last year, he has a style. He likes aggressive baseball. Once the guys are on the base, take bases, steal bases, hit runs, take the extra base. Once you're on base, he wants you to score.
Oh, for sure. And I think my favorite strategy move he really does is with his pitchers. The bullpen is so fun to follow with the Apple Sox because, at the major league level, you're used to guys going 1 inning, then you go to the next guy, then you go to the next one. Mitch will bring in a reliever 4th, 5th, or 6th inning. He might let him finish the game. It just depends how they're feeling. And I love that he just decides things on a game-by-game basis. You're not coaching with 3 months ahead in advance because you don't have 3 months ahead in advance. You've got 2.5 months for your season. So fun to watch what he does with the bullpen, and I've joked with him a couple times already. We've got guys this summer who might slot into that role for you, the 6th-inning reliever.
At this point in the process, of course, the roster is all but locked. There are some exceptions. In the early part of the year, and you know this, the roster is in flux a great deal because some of the players have committed. They've signed to come to the Apple Sox this summer. Their collegiate team are still playing. They're in the playoffs in the postseason. So, and then they usually like to take about a week's break. Then they pack and they drive up here. So some of these that we're going to talk about are going to sign 10-day commitments to the Apple Sox, but they may stick around for the full year. And it's always good to steal somebody from a league rival, specifically the Cowles Black Bears. Let's start out with Jaden Williamson as we throw up his photo. I believe we have that. Welcome back. He is back for another year.
Yeah, he pitched for us for a couple of games in 2021, kind of a late season addition that year, and he's having himself a great spring this year at Lower Columbia. I think anyone who follows college baseball, maybe more specifically junior college baseball, you're so familiar with the work that the Red Devils do, especially on the mound. So this is a guy we're excited to have. He had 16 appearances, I believe it was, last summer. You don't see a lot of guys make double-digit appearances, but so good in relief for Cowles, and he's going to start out, as I mentioned, on that 10-day role for us. Could turn that into a full season contract, especially as a pitcher if you really impress early on.
Mitch and his pitching coach are a huge believer in a big staff and a deep staff. You want a couple of utility players, but if you want to fill up your roster, you do it with as many pitchers as we can. One of 2 catchers brought on board, Cade Westerland from Everett Community College. Talk about this gentleman.
Yeah, Cade's another guy who he's done a really good job so far defensively for Everett Community College. Played at Yavapai, I believe it was last year. Had a good stick there. Had some home runs. He's got that nice contact as a catcher where if he's going to make contact, he's probably going to get some extra bases in there. But he's so stout defensively from everything we've seen, everything Mitch has talked about, and it's nice to bring that kind of guy aboard early on because, as you mentioned, the roster early on in the season always a little bit in flux. One thing I think that Mitch has done a fantastic job of in his 2 years is never leaving that catcher position too depleted. We see teams sometimes at the start of the season, at the beginning of the season, might only have one catcher back there. Mitch has got this team really ready to go from behind the plate, and if you remember from last year, that catching position was a position of strength. The relationship they had with our pitchers was so important, and we're really trying to foster that early on this year.
Very little passed balls got by our catchers, and you will take a defensive-minded catcher who can handle a pitching staff over anybody who can rake a baseball. That's an even trade. I'll take defense 100%. And field management over offense any day of the week. Travis Helm, another 10-dayer, and he doesn't have a very long drive. He has to drive up from Ellensburg, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. He's one of 2 catchers who are coming to us from Central Washington, and boy, it's been so fun to rework that relationship the last couple of years. Of course, Mitch played there when he was in college, so I know he loves seeing a couple of Wildcats on the Apple Sox, and Travis is a guy who he didn't really get a ton of chances to catch this season at Central because the guy ahead of him, Austin Olin, who's also going to be joining the Apple Sox. Yeah, he's also going to be on the Apple Sox. That guy was raking so much. They had to keep his bat in the lineup somewhere, so they put him at DH, and he was a second-team all-conference hitter. So 2 really good options behind the plate right there. Austin will be joining the Apple Sox later, of course, but I think Travis is going to impress early on and really make a name for himself with the Apple Sox.
And a guy who really became a fan favorite last year, Connor Ashworth, is coming back. The big guy from Brewster, we carried a couple of his games last year, brought a huge contingent down from the Brewster area. There he is. There's the big guy. This guy can throw. This guy, you don't look like him, but he's got the game.
Boy, is he good. His first outing with us last year was the second home game of the season. He comes on, it's the 7th inning of the game, tied up at the time, comes on, gives up a weak ground out to start it, then strikes out the next 8 hitters in a row.
Remember.
A perfect 9 up, 9 down, 3 perfect innings of relief. 8 consecutive strikeouts. I've never seen anything like that in relief, and he was just so impressive. Dealt with some injuries last year, fought back, though, to be with the team late in the season, and he started game 1 of the postseason against Kamloops. I mean, Dan, I can't describe how much adversity the Apple Sox are facing that day. Bus was a little late getting up, no batting practice.
I remember that, yes.
Raucous crowd at Kamloops. I can't understand. Great fans up there. They were so into it. Their first ever playoff game. Connor takes a no-hitter into the 6th. The Apple Sox win 10-1. I mean, that guy was just born for the big stage, and he loves being part of the Apple Sox. Mitch talked about that with me recently. He said, Connor said he's not sure when he'll be able to debut this summer, but he's planning to be in the dugout pretty much every home game. He wants to be part of this organization, and it's what we talked about before, is that building a program, getting these guys who want to come in and they want to be wearing the red, white, and blue.
And when you talk about starting pitchers, you usually see them up there blowing smoke out of their ears. This guy's out there smiling and having fun.
Oh yeah,
he brings that kind of aspect to a starting pitcher role, and he's got an iron arm. He can eat up a lot of innings if you need it.
Absolutely, have the pen as a starter wherever you want him. Connor Ashworth, I think he's proven in his career. Hasn't got to pitch this spring at Billings, but we often hear that with us. I think fans, maybe you forget about the guys who don't pitch in the spring. We love that. That usually means if they're signed with us, they're full go in the summer.
Mitch Darlington probably has about 100 cell phone numbers on his cell phone from various players that he keeps in touch with and talks with. And we talk about how Mitch and his predecessors, the importance of recruiting, building a program, and bringing in the players to help the Apple Sox succeed and help the players succeed in their goal of working as far up the baseball ladder as possible. But sometimes it's the players themselves who get on the cell phone or text another guy who they play ball with at community college or someplace and said, come to Wenatchee and play with me. We're going to have a good time. And that's the case with this last guy, our friend Mr. Buxton. Let's throw up his photo, if you don't mind, and talk about this guy.
Yeah, Fred Buxton, boy, what a year. Vanguard season just wrapped up a couple of days ago. He led them in home runs, RBIs. I think he was second in hits, and we've got him on a 10-day contract. You don't usually get any player from any school just on a 10-day contract, but this is a guy, a middle infielder. I'll touch on the connection in a moment here, but Dan, but this was something Mitch and I talked about. That middle infield last year, pretty much from day one, Joichiro Oyama at second, Iva Arquette at short. This year, it's not quite set in stone, and that's not a bad thing. It's a very open competition with a lot of talented players. Fred Buxton's a guy who's been in college, I think, 4 years, but he's technically a junior because of COVID and redshirting. Technically going to be a junior this fall, so he's got a ton of experience. We've got several incoming freshmen from in-state, as I mentioned before. They're middle infielders as well. A lot of talent at second and short, and it's going to be a battle to get those positions. But going back to the connections, boy, Quincy Vassar, Mitch has joked about him. Of course, he pitched for us last year from Brewster as well, like Connor. Quincy has done such a great job kind of telling buddies, hey, come play for the Apple Sox, come play with me in Wenatchee this summer. And he's just like Connor. Quincy is where he's so proud to be part of the Apple Sox, fired up every time he puts on the uniform. And it's nice to have a guy like Fred joining us as a result, someone who is going to come in with a really positive perception of the town as well as the team. And we say it all the time, these players going back to their schools, boy, they really can be the best recruiters for us. Even though the guys are at their tail end of their baseball season for most of these guys, and it's time for summer ball with the West Coast League, it doesn't necessarily mean that Mitch can just fill out a lineup card and send him out there. He has very little prep time. We need to stress that. I mean, the guys pull into town. He's got, who do I got? Shows you, okay, let's go play some ball. He can't really. He doesn't get a lot of one-on-one time with these players that he'd like to have until they're 2-3 weeks into the season. Yeah, we really don't have guys flying in here until about May 30th, I think, at the earliest. So, the guys will trickle in, and Mitch has a couple of workouts at the field before then. But, it's worth mentioning, Mitch is still dealing with his full-time job up in Mansfield. He's got to get out of classes early to come over here to do a little bit of coaching in the afternoon. He gets a couple practices in, I think, May 31st and June 1st, and then we're off to Bend. We open up the season June 2nd. It's like what you mentioned. You're kind of figuring out on the fly, which, to me, Dan, I think it makes it even more impressive when teams win the first half of their division in the season, because so many of these teams are flying by the seat of their pants those first 2.5 weeks of the season. You're trying to figure out what you have. And we're not even expecting to have I'd say about 95% of our full roster until probably Father's Day weekend. That's the normal weekend each year where you've got everyone on board. Now it's a battle for each position. Early on, you might only have one third baseman. You might only have one, a guy who you really trust in the ninth inning. And it's one of those opportunities where guys can come out of the gate and really earn themselves a spot on this team. We saw it last year. Xander Orejudos from Ellensburg, who's just wrapping up his senior year at Jamestown. same thing with him. Came in, really impressed early on. He was with us till the end of the season. So great opportunity for guys early on. I really encourage fans to really cheer these guys on early. They're not coming from the flashy universities quite yet, but boy, they've got a lot of heart and they've got aspirations, for some of them especially, to be at those schools.
You're going to look at the you're going to go to the Apple Sox website. You're going to look at the schedule and you say, where are the Pippins? Where are the Sweets? Where's Corvallis? What's going on here? We're not playing those teams this year.
Unfortunately.
Different kind of schedule. Talk about that.
You know, the West Coast League has really prioritized this year the focus of division versus division play. Now, there's been some previous years, and I support that aspect. I'll say that first off. There's been previous years where sometimes you play one team in your division just for 3 games, they don't come to you maybe, or you don't go to them. And it makes it a little bit tricky at the end of the year when those tiebreakers come into play. I think the league has done a great job this year of prioritizing that, where we're going to play everyone in our division twice. They'll come to us, and we'll go to them as well, which is good because you need to get that action out of the way. And then there's a couple other series against your southern teams, but the way the league is doing it, at least for us, is every team we play in the South, it'll also be a home-and-home set. For example, Springfield comes here to open up our home schedule. Then the next week, we go to them. Bend, same thing. We open up the season at the Elks, longtime West Coast League rival, fellow founding member like us. They'll come to us again later in the year as well. I wish in those instances maybe we could have snuck in a Yakima or a Walla Walla. We played Corvallis a lot the last few years, so I understand that. But I would love to see Yakima and Walla Walla because we are the southernmost team in the North Division.
Yeah.
And they are the northernmost teams in the Southern Division. So naturally they're our closest, but not in the same division as us.
What road trips are you particularly looking forward to this year? Maybe some places you haven't visited in a while.
Boy, you know, I'm trying to think. I think everywhere we go on the road besides Springfield, we went to last year. Springfield joined the league last year, the Drifters. Tough first year for them, so they're really looking to bounce back this year. But we get a head down there. It looks like a great ballpark. I believe they host Bushnell University there as well. So really nice facility, all turf, which our players always love seeing those kinds of fields. The trip to Edmonton is going to be a ton of fun. We go there. We will be playing on Canada Day.
Oh, perfect. July 1st.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last year, Edmonton was also home that day. They set the West Coast League's single game attendance record. Wow. I'm imagining that might get topped this year. Hopefully we can pull off a little shocker on the road. But, you know, going to other places, Victoria is always fun. Great fans, great crowds up there. And we didn't go to Port Angeles last year, so it'll be nice to get back there. The one place I've been wanting to go, Dan, they joined the league in 2019. They've come to us twice. We have never gone there, the Ridgefield Raptors. We still have not visited the Ridgefield Outdoor Recreation Complex. So one of these days, I've heard it's a hitter's ballpark, so I know our guys would love to get there at some point, maybe next year.
When the owners got together with Commissioner Nyer, they hammered out the schedule. Nobody gets everything they want. Everybody wants to play weekends at home. It just doesn't happen that way. There must have been some talk about the changes, the 3 significant changes in Major League Baseball. Bigger bases, pitch clock, no shift. That's that in a gist. That's essentially it. Was there any talk among the owners about taking, since it's a wood bat league and a league that's kind of rooted in baseball tradition, if Major League Baseball is willing to do this, to bring in the younger generation and bring more fans, maybe we should take a look at it too. Any talk about that during the winter meetings?
You know, it's interesting that we are planning to add some sort of, not quite a pitch clock, but I would call it an action clock. Now, the NCAA has one like that. They call it an action clock. I got to go to a couple Division I games this spring. I saw it in action, no pun intended, and it's really good. It just encourages the game flow in a really good way. Not quite as strict as the MLB pitch clock that we've seen, so I think fans will enjoy this. The one problem we could have is a lot of these parks don't have visible clocks. Yeah. And I'm wondering if in the next year or two that may change. We'll see how it goes. It might go fine without it. I'm hoping that's the case because that would save a lot of teams some money along the way. But I'm interested to see how that's going to go. And frankly, I'm actually planning to talk with the head of the umpiring union for the West Coast League, John White. I'm chatting with him for our podcast this week. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he says because I'm going to ask him stuff like that. You know, what's the plan with making this work with players? How are they going to be aware of it when they can't see the clock as well?
And you got to remember that in Major League Baseball, the umpires are wired up. Yep. Like crazy. They have a little buzzer. They know what they're talking about. There's somebody in their ear. So that pitch clock thing, they're getting help with it as opposed to they have to physically look at a clock on the wall that's counting down.
Yeah, it works a little.
We need to point that out.
Yeah, it works out really well for them. They've got a little help. And it's also worth noting for the West Coast League, we typically have about 2 umpires on hand. It's a tough task, but you know what? It's a good way for them to learn because of these lower levels. In these college, these high school levels, you're seeing that's the case. You only have a couple out there, so you really have to be confident in yourself as an umpire, and you also have to have a lot of faith in your counterpart, whether they're in the field or they're behind home plate. So
I suppose the cheapest thing you can do is the bigger bases. I mean, that's not that big of an expense. And every ballpark that I've been to have bases.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I think the funny thing is with Major League Baseball, when they enacted that, they wanted to get more action on the base paths, and they've gotten it so far. The West Coast League for years has been a great league for small ball, for everything. That's what I always encourage the fans when I sell them on the league, is that you're going to see stolen bases, you're going to see hit and runs, and you're going to see bunts. It's baseball at its finest when you come to an Apple Sox game or in any park in the West Coast League each summer. So I always encourage people that, because I myself sometimes I wish we saw more of it at the Major League level, but you know, you come here on a summer night in Wenatchee, you'll see plenty of Paul Thomas Senior Stadium.
Being a traditionalist, and traditionalist is code for old fart, I was a little reluctant about the rules changes. I have come around. I like the pitch clock, and I like the bigger bases. Still not a big fan of the shift. I still think that the manager should be able to play his players wherever the hell he wants to.
Yep.
I'll get used to it.
I think I agree with you there, too.
I'll get used to it. Billet families, how we doing? Folks who are going to open up a bedroom and their refrigerator to Apple Sox players for the summer, how we doing there?
Well, you know, it was really nice. I'll start with this. First off, yesterday we had our host family appreciation dinner, which is a great way for us to kind of invite everyone out, thank them, and also reveal to the families who they're going to be housing this summer. So that was a lot of fun. Always looking for a couple more. We've probably got about 4 or 5 more beds we're looking to fill. It's part of what I mentioned to you before. These 10-day contracts to begin the season with us. Just need a couple of extra homes for them. As I said, Mitch has done a great job making sure our roster is full, but because of that, we just need a little extra help. So I just encourage people, if you got an extra bed at home, if you want free season tickets to Apple Sox baseball as well, just reach out to us. Email us, info@applesox.com. Also give us a call, 509-669-6500 as well. So, we're always looking for extra host families, and it's a great way to make some memories over the summer. You got a guy to cheer for when the team comes in. You might not know. We do have a lot of returners this year, but you might not know a few guys. Great way to cheer on the team, have a guy to cheer for, talk baseball with them. And if you've got kids as well, we will give your family free admission to our youth camps as well if you host a player. So a lot of perks to doing it.
And the gal who coordinates it, Marcy Skelton, is a member of the Wenatchee High School class of 1983, the greatest class ever to graduate.
No bias?
From that fine institution. Trust me on that. We love her. She does a great job. And every year she comes back.
Yeah, she's been such a great host parent.
That's got to tell you anything you need to know right there.
Yep.
Log on to the Apple Sox website. Get your season tickets. It's not too late. They also have the 10-pack deal. Great deal. Oh, yes. Pick out the 10 games you want to go to, schedule them all out, and you get a really good deal on that. All kinds of promotions going on. We'll have you on one more time before opening day. For sure. So, yeah, opening day is down in Bend. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They get Monday the 5th off of June. And then on Tuesday, June 6th, they're home at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium for a game that we will be televising. Do us a favor, go to the ballpark. Baseball on TV is great. Baseball at the ballpark, quite frankly, is better.
You can watch the replay later as well.
There you go. You're pretty good. The voice of the Wenatchee Wild, Austin Drade, joining me here. I'm sorry, it's Joel Norman, the voice of the Wenatchee Apple Sox. I talked to too many of you guys. Go Sox.
Go Sox. It's going to be a great summer.
Storm and Joel Norman. We'll be right back.
In 1963, Coastal opened its doors. 60 years later, we have you to thank for our continued success, and we're still proud to be just what your country needs.
Today, you'll find everything from pants and boots to fencing, feed, and more. From brands you know and trust like Carhartt, Wrangler, Ariat, Georgia Boot, DeWalt, and Quadrifier. Join the celebration. Stop by, scan the QR code, or enter online to win big prizes. Visit Coastal today or find us online at coastalcountry.com.
Bring beauty to your life and create your own vision at Chelan's premier lifestyle store. Willow features unique clothing, jewelry, and home decor. Only in Chelan.
Lake Chelan Sports is the place to find top brands like Hoka, Ons, Patagonia, and now a full line of Viore products. With excellent customer service, Lake Chelan Sports has what you need.
Culinary Apple is North Central Washington's premier kitchen store with everything you need to elevate your own culinary experience.
At Washington Trust Bank, can't is a 4-letter word. I think we should hire more people.
Doc, I'm late for a meeting. I'm thinking of starting my own practice.
Do it. Too much capital.
We need a warehouse.
I can't imagine how we do that.
We should knock that wall down and expand.
Do it.
there's always another wall beyond the wall.
We believe you can do whatever you set your mind to, and we'll help you get there. Washington Trust Bank, privately owned, locally invested.
Another beautiful morning. Look at that shot from Badger Mountain behind me, looking out over the Wenatchee Valley. Another gorgeous morning. It was 52 when this show started, but just about normal. It's 55 right now. We'll be another 20 degrees warmer than that by the time this show wraps up. Everybody is interested in what the Memorial Day weekend forecast looks like. It is the unofficial beginning of summer. The summer solstice isn't until June 21st, but most people consider Memorial Day weekend the opening of the summertime season, if you will, and it is looking good. From the National Weather Service, one more look at your forecast. Sunshine today, not nearly as windy. Still breezy, but not nearly as windy as we saw yesterday. Yesterday we got to 70. Today we're going to pop on up to 75. Just about perfect with a nice light breeze. Partly cloudy tonight, 49 for the overnight low. You'll notice in the evening hours we'll see a few clouds develop, but they're not going to last. Sunshine Wednesday, high near 80. Again, one last little bit of wind on Wednesday, but again, not very much. A few clouds Wednesday night, overnight low of about 55. By the time we